Pretty gloomy day out here in Corvallis, Oregon, but these players sure aren't. It looks like we got a big group of friends out here on a Saturday afternoon playing some beach volleyball. Welcome to Dixon Recreation Center, home of the 2025 IAA Silver Bracket Champions, your Oregon State Beavers. My name's Andrew Sloan, alongside my partner Andrew West, and we're going to be showing the men's beach volleyball tournament today here on KBVR TV.
I really like what you said earlier about it looking like we have a bunch of friends out here. It definitely looks like they've got a lot of competition and drive with them, but it doesn't feel like there's any resentment between the teams. It just feels like a group of friends ready to play some volleyball.
Yeah, no, and I'm super excited.
In them.
Yeah, no, totally. As I can recall from our conversation with them, one of them recalled saying, "This is my last ending games of my seasons and my joints hurt." So I think that this is going to be more of a mental game for this team. And that kind of speaks for all the teams out here, right?
I fully agree.
It's fully going to be a mental competition that we have. All of them know each other, and all of them aren't going to be able to rely on pure physical skill and technique to beat one another. It's going to be more of a competition based on wit and just drive.
Yeah, I think we saw that with the Avengers earlier. They just spoke about having played all their competitors previously. It's not necessarily a change in strategy, but more so a feeling of, I know my teammate, I know those teams, we can beat them. It is everyone's getting down, ready to play. It is drive and just over and over repetitions almost.
Yeah. No, totally. I'm super excited to get into it. We're super excited to see what teams go on, and we'll catch you guys back in a minute.
I mean, he was clearly trying to get that net,
Yeah.
but he was too far. He was too far. He couldn't reach out his hands there.
Yeah. We got we're looking at 9-6 right now.
Yes.
That's it. I think we're all on the same page with that one.
Yeah, I think 96 is where everyone is settled.
Yeah. The score is, we've gone over this a few times, but oh my gosh, straight into the back of the net.
It was a very close one. He laid out for it. He was really selling it.
Lost my train of thought there with that play, But another point to UP.
Yeah, that was a good one. He laid out for it. It was a fun one to see. I think that's kind of what I'm excited to see for all of these games.
Yeah, I really like how they're able to get every single time it looks like they're going up for a giant spike, and then they just barely tap it over the net, just like that, getting another point.
They're very good at selling something that they're not going to do.
Exactly, bringing Goofy Goobers up to double digits with 10 points.
And I think that's something that'll make these teams different.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot of trying to read each other, which means it'll be hard for us to read. It'll be hard for any viewer to read because they can't.
Seems like not really receiving it with a purpose to their partner, and so it seems like they're exciting news for you. So we don't know who about him. We don't know if they volleyball. So Gerbers, we do know a little bit about the Gerbers. We did talk to them. They are both from OSU, and we asked them what some of their strategies were. And Drew, do you want to fill the audience in on what their strategies are?
I mean, they're playing on some great high-level strategies. I heard was, we're coming in, we're kind of playing off of vibes.
Yeah.
We're kind of just feeling it out. We're having a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see that. I'm really excited to see that come from their play. I mean, we saw the last team. They definitely played a high-level game, and now we're here talking to Gerbers on the far end of the court from us, and it'll be a fun game to watch for sure.
Oh yeah.
And here's our first serve.
Yeah.
And it's already one tied to the
it's already one up with the Gerbers. All right, no show's really gotta bring it up with this one.
Yeah.
You can't be losing your first point in a tournament that you joined last second.
Good
receive. Oh, that was great. I thought he was gonna go up for the spike. Again, they're just psyching me out every single time. But they read that really well. Brings it to a 1-1 tie with the no shows and the Gerbers.
I think that wind really played a part there. It went out on that side. It's a very windy, like the wind picked up midpoint, and I think we saw that in the spikes.
I'm sure you guys can hear it. There is a lot of wind out here, and I think all the players are going to take advantage of it. Oh, that's unfortunate. Didn't quite read that the way he wanted to. Going 2-1 to the Gerbers.
That was a great point. I mean, we were expecting. I mean,
Yeah. Leading through
a little bit on their offense, but I think we're going to see them pick that up.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, they got here late. They've had less time.
But once again, but like that was a good reflex and a good defense, but he didn't read that it was going to go out of bounds.
Ooh,
and that hit line, that's
offense.
giving another point to Gerbers.
Great offensive spike there. I mean, we were looking at these defensive players trying to get up, get ready, but it's hard to block that. Unless you are right up on him, it's hard to block that.
Oh, yeah. Big serve coming in. Nice little bump. And a straight to the spike and a one-handed block off the side of the net.
And they recovered.
Pop over, and he could not lay out for it, landing it in the bottom corner, bringing Gerbers up 5-1 over the no-shows.
I think this is really what I was excited to see.
Oh, yeah.
The Gerbers, they said they were playing off fives, and I think we're really seeing that. They're playing to have fun.
They are.
And I think it's showing really well.
Nice little bump. Can we get a set or spike? Yep, we straight spike into the back of the net from the no-shows. And I think based on the name, the one thing they really aren't doing is showing.
I mean, yeah, we're seeing a great showing on defense there.
Yeah.
But we are not seeing a great showing on offense. And I think I'm excited to see if they pick that up on their turnaround.
Oh, yeah.
We did just get to our 7 points, so 7.
This is that one-handed fake to that.
I mean, the Gerbers, they're playing for sure, and we're seeing it. Their serves, the no-shows they're getting in their head.
They are getting.
They're playing a mental game, and they're winning that mental game.
I do feel like that there's any skill difference here, because I feel like the no-shows have been really consistent. They're just making silly mistakes. Other than that right there, which giving another point to the no-shows, but that's gonna come from a mistake from the Gerbers where they hit it into the back of the net.
I think it's a game of mistakes, really.
Yeah.
At high level play, that really is what it is. You're trying to capitalize off of whatever the other team is doing, and we're seeing that from this game. The Gerbers are making far fewer mistakes, especially on their offense.
Yeah.
They're getting it over the net. They're hitting the spikes when they need to, and the no-shows just aren't.
Yeah. Are we gonna get a spike here? Straight into the hands, and
block.
He saw it too.
And it's over.
That's the little tip off that gets the point every single time, though.
It's a game of small. It's a game of margins.
It is a game of margins. That's a great way to put that. Yeah.
I think, especially here, we're seeing it really, really show up.
Oh, what a serve. Unfortunately, was not given. Fortunately, could not bring it back. No shows have been getting a couple more points as we're coming back in to the later half of the game.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot. We're seeing a lot for the Gerbers, but
not enough.
I think it's hard to compare.
Oh, what a slip! But he got back up. Is he going to finish it off?
And they get it over.
A little assistance from the net there, but at the end of the day, you got the point. You need
to see.
Yeah,
we're up to 11-3 here. This is a fast game.
Yeah,
I think last game we saw a very, very close game, and that's not what we're seeing this time.
No,
we're in bracket, and
but once again, I think I'm gonna go back on your point about the game of mistakes, right?
Yes.
They're not really covering any open spaces. They're covering on the same side of the court. They seem to be moving front and back, but they'll both be on the left or both be on the right, when they should kind of be staggering, because you just hit it to the right side and nobody's there. Nobody's able to have a chance.
I think often what we'll see is both playing on the same vertical place on the court, but we're not seeing that from the no-shows. That was a hard read.
Unfortunate.
That was a hard read.
It was a hard read, but no-shows are going to get it again. Are going to get another.
Hey, it's.
I still think there's a chance.
I do. I think really what we're seeing from what has been happening so far, the no-shows just need to tighten up a little bit on the net. They just need to tighten up a little bit on getting it over. There is just small mistakes that they're making, and I think they can fix that. If the receives have been pretty well, barring this last one, granted. But the receives have been taken pretty well, and it's a hard one.
Yeah.
It's hard to like find those little mistakes mid set.
Yeah, but then you have mistakes like that, which are also really hard to come back from because then that gets in your head a lot.
Right. I think that goes back to this being a very mental game.
Yeah.
The no-shows are very much here on the like losing side of that mental game. Sure.
Yeah.
They got here late.
Oh, that's such an unfortunate hit off the knuckles.
Yeah, we are up to 16-6. It's a 10-point game. It is
Yeah.
really, really hard to come back from that mentally. But I'm not saying impossible.
No.
I think if the no-shows just started to tighten up a little bit on the receives, they were better. They were doing really good earlier. They were doing really great on those receives.
Yeah.
But I think that point differential is really getting in their heads.
Yeah. No, and that Welcome back to KBVR TV. We have a men's volleyball still. Here we're going. We got Tralalero, Tralala, and that has Bryce Drummond and Ben Black from Oregon State, and they're going to be playing the Goopy Fries, and that's going to be Ryan Eastley and Rustin McGlosslang from Oregon State as well. So we got a lineup of 2 Beaver teams playing. We're going to start 0-0 right now, and
I believe that we actually got 1-0.
Yeah, I think they started a bit earlier than we were expecting. So we got 1-0 leading from the Tralalero Tralalas, and that's going to be the team that's on the right side of the court right now. They got a receiver going straight back into the street. Is that going to be? Oh, no, didn't quite go over the fence.
Out.
All right. We got Tralalero Tralala
I believe
with 1, and then we got Goopy Fries with 0. So we got actually 2.
I think
You're right. A vital part. Me though.
No, it's been a good game.
See, if we recall back.
They're recognizing, but
yeah,
their time's coming to a close.
I sometimes when you're on these Welcome back to KBVR TV. We're once again looking at the men's.
We're once again having a great
Yeah,
time here.
we're having a great time. We're doing at the men's beach volleyball tournament, and we're looking at the Gerbers again, and they're playing LNG. And Gerbers is from Oregon State, and LNG is from U of O. And based on the lineup that we had a few games ago, where we watched the Gerbers play no show, I'm really excited to see how Gerbers play these guys, Drew.
Really, I am. I think this will either prove or I think this will prove the Gerbers or really fall flat the no shows. I think we're going to see which one it is. Are the Gerbers really good? The no shows really bad. And here's our first serve.
Yeah, right into the street.
Point. I mean,
Yeah.
we're starting off walking in for this game.
They are, yeah. And now they're tied. Gerber's got another one based on a mistake from LNG.
And I think mistakes. We keep saying it. It's a big thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like that has been like the main turning point, and it's been the mistakes like that. And that one actually has been a little bit worse than some of the other ones, but it's just been these constant big mistakes that cost your team the point. Instead of like a great spike into the corner, it's been like hitting the ball into the net.
And I think that comes from them not being adjusted to the wind today.
Yeah, that's true.
there
That
is
was a
here.
crazy little redirect right there from the LNGs.
Yeah, I think we're having a good back and forth here. This is reminiscent of our first game. It is a big, fun time to watch. Neither of these teams are necessarily. We don't know the relationship here. We know Gerbers; they're close to a lot of teams, but we can't tell from how they're playing here. They're playing very focused. They're playing very driven.
Yeah, and we were able to really see that in the last few games. Or not few games, the last game that the Gerbers played, and it's really hard to tell because they did play the no shows, and the no shows were constantly hitting the ball right into the back of the net.
Right.
And so the Gerbers didn't really have a chance to show us. Big serve coming in with they able to get it over,
and it's over.
And but it's a little set and maybe a spike or a little straight in.
But he was willing to.
He was running straight into the other court. The other court did not see him come. Maybe interruption on the other play, but we don't have a ref to call interference here.
And I don't think we need one. I think if someone comes onto your court, you got to be ready for it.
You do. Just drop your shoulder and figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah, we got big guys on this court, ready to play some physical volleyball.
Oh yeah.
You know, I'm ready to see a shoulder check on our court.
Oh yeah. What's unfortunate though is that he was not able to get down fast enough on that. But we are going to switch sides as we have a 4-3 lead from the Gerbers.
Yeah. A great showing for the Gerbers.
Again, yeah, of course.
I think this does put a little bit of perspective into their first game.
Yes.
The no-shows were a team that they played, and we got to see how they played.
Yes.
Not well. But
yes. For those of you that are just tuning in, this is our second time watching the Gerbers play.
What a dump.
Yeah, and they just got a little unfortunate ball hit on their side of the net by LNG from the University of Oregon.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of up close on the net play here, and I think that's just kind of the consistency that we're seeing from Gerbers.
Yeah,
we saw that from them on the first game. We saw that from them so far in this game, and it's good.
Big serve coming in from LNG, and it hit the line, and the Gerbers could not quite read the way that they wanted to.
Yeah. Sometimes necessarily the easy.
And same with that one too. Yeah. So we got
we are is
6-4 with the
LNG.
Yeah. And LNG was able to hit a really big ball over, and the Gerbers were able to send it back. Oh, a big spike coming up and straight into the back of the net. See, the Gerbers, they're really good at getting the other team to give them points.
Right. I think
that's what's happening all day.
Right. It is 6-5 here. And I think the Gerbers are. It is really fun to see them play. We're seeing a lot of forced mistakes almost.
Oh yeah, forced mistakes. And that I couldn't have put it a better way myself, Andrew.
That looks like. Thank you, Andrew. That looks like it was another point for LNG there. We are up to 7-5, but I mean, I don't think you would be able to tell by how both teams are playing.
No.
One team feels like they are winning,
No.
and they just aren't.
No.
That brings us to 8-5.
Yeah.
The Gerbers are playing like they are the winning team here.
Yeah.
In the sense that they have the presence on the court. They have the it feels like they have the mentality with them, but they're just not executing correctly.
That was
But that is what I'm looking for from them.
pure athleticism on the Dixon volleyball courts that we're seeing today.
That is purely what I'm looking for. That was clinical. That was great.
Amazing. On how to play beach volleyball. I would do it. I would just have him do it.
I would have Gerbers do it. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. Get down fast enough again.
Right. That brings us to
LNG leading it.
Yeah. They took a large scoring break there. They were running away with it, but then Gerber, they locked in. They found their groove. They are fighting for those points, and that we saw it there. There's small things just over the net.
Oh,
what
big receive. Is he able to get there? And he is. They get one more hit after this guy off the top of the net again. Back over. I don't know if he's going to go up for it, and he did a nice little pump up. I think he had it. I think that was just a mental stoppage in there.
I agree. I think he was very close. He could have dove for it, but there was just something. It's a hard ball to receive there.
Yeah. But now we're looking at 8s overall between the Gerbers and LNG.
Yeah. I think we are it's a close game, which are really fun to watch. Two great teams out there. We are in semis.
Yeah.
And it feels like we are in semis for sure.
What a beautiful receive and a block on the back. Is he going to get there? He is. And then another hit on both sides. Going out, unfortunately. There seems to be some little bit of anger coming out from LNG.
Yeah, this looks like it's a more aggressive game than we have been used to seeing today.
Well, it's because, like we were mentioning, for years I'm playing coming out because these
UO.
Oh yeah.
This is a very student.
Oh yeah. The other games, there's personality, there's more than just volleyball taken into account. It is just mind to ball. That's it.
Ball.
Unfortunate though that now we're sitting at 10s. It's really hard to say which team here is taking the metaphorical lead, even though we have numerically they're tied.
It doesn't feel like anyone is taking ahead in mentally either. Yeah. Physically, I can't see either of them slowing up. Mentally, I'm not seeing anyone be like, "Oh, this is clearly the team that's pulling ahead."
Yeah.
But it's hard to make that distinction here.
And that was a tricky point to look at too, because from our angle, it was hit over and it went out, but we couldn't really tell if it was touched. And then both teams celebrated. So
that was a hard point to call.
Yeah. I do really believe that the team that point did go to the Gerbers though.
It did go to the Gerbers. Yeah. And if I was making that call, I think I would have made the same one.
Yeah.
It looked like he was hit from here, but I couldn't guarantee it.
Yeah. And a big spike coming in
up
with the receiver. Is he going to get there?
And he's not
quite. Doesn't quite have the pedals on his bike to get there.
This 2-point differential is kind of what we're. Yeah, this number, right? It's win by 2. It is win by 2. Teams are playing very.
That was absolutely insane reflexes on that. We got a first hit, a second hit, and maybe a big spike coming in, and they do. It happens to go out of bounds.
It does look out, and I mean, I think we're kind of seeing the Gerbers. We just talked about a fast start, slow ending, and I think LNG is kind of getting to that point.
Yeah,
we had a lot of big athletic plays on the beginning, but we're seeing slower, mistakes come out. He could have gotten that in, but he didn't because we're slowing down.
Yeah,
we're in a higher point part of the game.
But we did just see another point come in from LNG, which was really cool to see. Especially with that little fake just tapping it over the net, just barely.
I think that is one of the bigger things that I'm seeing today. One of the things I was expecting less and less of. There's a lot of small, just
barrel
methodical.
taps. But I feel like that happens all the time in like net sports, like volleyball and tennis and badminton and that kind
Right.
of stuff. And we're also, while we're on the topic of that, it just happened again. But that seems to be how LNG is getting most of their points here today.
Right. I think also
There's been a
LNG is pretty
great
good at defense here. Look,
Gerber's with a after that stating loss of
just a good float serve.
I shivered.
It was a big play there. I don't know how else to describe it. It was a very it was like a dump, but it was also off to the side. It was hard to predict where that one was going.
Yeah.
Almost rode the net for a little bit.
It did. It literally rolled across the top of the net.
Yeah. Not something we've seen yet today.
No.
Not something we've seen yet today.
Yeah. And something I have noticed between these two teams is how much more effective the Gerbers are at getting down on those really low shots.
Right. They're very fast at going low.
But then the Gerbers are also really good at making really fast reflections like that.
And they're back in position.
They are. And here's a big spike or not, because I couldn't even read that.
It's hard to read these. It's hard to read these players here.
Yeah.
What a big point for the Gerbers.
They just hit their 15th point, and to the 13th that LNG has. It's that 2-point lead that you talk about.
It keeps coming up, right?
Yeah.
The Gerbers are kind of consistently hitting that too.
Yeah. And I don't know how long they're going to be able to keep only a 2-point lead. You know, this is the semifinals, right?
Right.
So we're going to see them play the winners of the game that's actually happening behind them right now, and they're going to switch. We're going to see up this little lead that they have.
As it's kind of coming in.
Yeah, it is, and you can tell our shaking is they're shaking. You can probably hear it on our. I don't know. Okay, Andrew, how do you think it is affecting like the overall ball play of this volleyball game?
I think we see it go towards that far side of the court often.
Oh, what a dive that he cannot get out for, giving another point to LNG, putting them at 14.
I think right. It goes to the far side often because it's blowing that way, so they have to play more and more on that side, which it goes out more and more. I think that's what we're seeing a lot.
Yeah,
especially on these high balls.
That was
recovery.
One of the greatest hits into one of the greatest fumbles that I've ever seen in beach volleyball history out here at Dixon.
Yeah, it was a really it looked like a really good block, but they just couldn't recover it there. They just couldn't recover it.
It's okay though. You know, sometimes you're gonna have these wins and losses, but you know, it's not an overall win or loss. It's just of the point.
Right.
Small
battles.
That was like ballet right there, which just happened.
Ooh, and he gets that receive.
I'm not quite sure why they stopped right there.
I don't either.
I'm gonna be honest, but it's okay.
I'm going to be clear with you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know why they stopped. But like you were saying, it's a dance. It's kind of like you're seeing like small little movements, a little bit of a whoa. Small little things. We are not entirely sure.
We are doing our best to keep track, but they're keeping track by themselves, and there might be a miscommunication by the end.
Yep. Each team is keeping their own scores.
Yep.
So it leads to some interesting little things like we saw in the last game.
Yeah.
They just kind of kept playing to what we think was 23. But we don't know. If we ask them, guarantee they would say 21.
Oh yeah, 100%. And but you could see like they're switching at the same time. But a few games ago, we noticed that one team switched and the other team was kind of confused.
Yeah.
Which makes me really question why each team is like keeping their own score when like they're not talking to each other about it.
Right.
But I don't know. That was a great block.
And that brings us to match point, we think.
Yep.
We were wrong. That was a point earlier on in the set.
Yeah.
They had that weird stoppage.
Yeah. So that is actually the end of it. And Gerbers bring home another win. So far that we've seen today, the Gerbers have 2 wins with 21-15 over LNG. And they also had 21-9 against No Show. And this has been an absolutely great semifinal game. It really game is. And after our break, we're going to fill you guys in games, and we're going to. So, and we're going to be at Dixon Recreation Center here on KBVR.